والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد, we continue in Kitaab At-Tawheed, 6:39 p.m. Sunday, December the 15th, 2019, which agrees with the Islamic calendar where we're still in Rabi' al-Thani, rather the 19th of Rabi' al-Thani, the year 1441 after the Hijrah of Mustafa alayhi salatu wassalam. We continue in Kitaab At-Tawheed. If you'll notice, Ya Ma'ash al-Ikhwa, that all of these chapters that we've been covering for the past 2 months, everyone excuse my voice, a little bit under the weather, all of these are branches of what the great Imam rahimahullah spoke about in regards to magic. If you turn back to the pages, what we explained in the chapters we covered, first we spoke about the chapter which comes in magic, Bab ma ja'a fi sihr. So we finish magic, or the chapter in regards to magic. That was finished. Then if you notice, all the other subsidiary matters that branch off from that topic was mentioned. For example, you find that the great Imam, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, he spoke about magic. Then the chapter which comes directly after it is Bab ma ja'a fil kuhan wa nahwihim. The chapter which comes in those who claim to have knowledge of the unseen, or those who predict. Which are those who do claim to have knowledge of the unseen, or those who do predict. But those who come in the chapter which comes in al-kuhan. Now we said that the meaning of kuhan is those who predict. Those who predict, which at the same time means those who claim to have knowledge of the unseen. And also, they are involved inside of affairs that's pertaining to usage of the shayateen, which has a direct correlation with magic. So then after that chapter we concluded, notice what came after it, the chapter which comes in Nushra, as we explained that. The chapter which comes in Nushra. And we said that the meaning of Nushra is what one would use in order to cure magic. So that's the meaning of Nushra, as we talked about. Nushra is where one comes with magic in order to what? In order to remove magic. We said in the details in regards to that chapter that it's impermissible to use magic to remove magic. It's impermissible, which is the chapter which comes in Nushra. So the affair is still speaking about what? At the end of the day, still speaking about sihr, magic. Then if you notice in the chapter which comes after it, Bab ma ja'a fi at-tatayyur. What comes in at-tatayyur? What comes in evil omens, the superstitions, and myths. You'll find that people who usually are involved in magic also have their portion of these affairs too, especially in regards to superstitions or evil omens or myths, superstitions. All of those matters are somewhat connected. So everything that we've been covering for the past month and a half or more, all of it returns back to that topic, speaking about what? Sihr, magic. So number one, you found, like we said, if you notice in the chapter, we talked about the kuhan, those who predict, that claim to have knowledge of the unseen. And they have their portion of using the shayateen to utilize or do their evil, their wickedness, or their evil acts. So not only the people of magic, of course we know from the types of magic that are used, especially to harm an individual, where they call on the shayateen and what? And they subject them to harm someone specifically. Then also what is pertaining to those who predict and claim to have knowledge of the unseen, they likewise utilize the shayateen to receive some type of news for them, predicting certain affairs, whether it be something that took place already, or something that is going to happen, or something maybe that has passed, or that has already happened. For verily the shayateen still are involved in these matters. As far as with evil omens, a suspicion or superstitions and beliefs and myths, as we know, all this is also from the voice of the shayateen. They come with these superstitions and myths, and the people are influenced by them heavily in order to what? In order for them, as a result of it, to be cut off from Allah and relied upon these different types of what? These different types of superstitions and myths, and what people are affected by in their daily lives. And they have an impact, especially in regards to what happened during the time of the Arab, as we talked about before, where they utilized majority of their superstitions came from the birds. That's why the word tatayyur or tuyur or tira are used. Well, if you notice that they're all derivatives of the word tayr or tuyur, which is in regards to birds. We also discussed what comes and what's going to come after is regards to the stars. In regards to the stars, and that's what we're going to speak about now. Astrology or astronomy. Astrology and astronomy. They also have a direct correlation with magic, as we're going to talk about. A person would say, how? Read the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in the same chapter. What does it say? Excuse me, I'm sorry if it's not in the chapter, it's in the book itself. But there's a narration with the Prophet ﷺ that he mentioned and said, alayhi salatu wasalam, مَنْ اِقْتَسَبَ شُعْبَةً مِنَ النُّجُومِ فَقَدْ اِقْتَسَبَ شُعْبَةً مِنَ السِّحْرِ زَادَ مَا زَادَ. Whoever acquires a branch of the stars, meaning the knowledge of the stars, we're going to talk about that in a minute, inshallah. Then he has acquired a branch of the knowledge of magic. So, astrology has its what? Its connection, of course we know, with magic. So all of these type of affairs of which we've been speaking about has some type of correlation or connection with sihr, with magic. Especially you'll find, like we've had people who's involved inside of superstitions and myths and bad omens. Those people also you'll find, and usually in most cases, have some type of involvement with magic. So all of them are connected. All these chapters of what the great Imam has been speaking about have some type of connection or correlation with it. So today, after we finalize the affair of what was pertaining to tatayyur, evil omens or superstitions or myths, after we finish, now we move to the next chapter. The next chapter is what comes in astronomy and astrology. And that's what we're going to speak about today in the new chapter in which we'll start on. طيب. As we know, the chapter which comes in Tanjim. As we said, Tanjim, meaning, how have they translated in your books, everyone? Astronomy or astrology? They put both, Jayid. The chapter which comes in astronomy or astrology. As you'll find, even in astrology, in regards to the stars and what the people are now involved in, as far as even the solar system, you'll find that even if the books of astrologists or people that are involved inside of the stars or the sun and the moon and the stars, you'll find it has a heavy influence with polytheism. Like we talked about before, you'll find that the majority of the belief in what people have been educated and cultivated upon is, like we talked about before, that the sun is the biggest star in the solar system. That's what you'll find that's been taught by everyone, or that's what everyone learned when they was in preschool, until they were raised to a certain age, and then they adopted these type of ideologies until it became implanted in their brain and affected by everyone, and the children, and to the point where you'll find that a lot of people still to this day believe that the sun is the biggest star in the solar system and all the stars revolve around it. Did you have a headache today again? You have the, what do you call it? Migraine again today? Oh. No. So he said that you'll find that is the belief of a lot of people these days, and still to this day, that they say that the sun is the biggest star in the middle and the planets revolve around it. Is that the correct belief? We said no. That is an incorrect belief. We believe, like we said, that the sun, these stars, that they move. The sun moves. That is the belief of what comes in the Kitaab, in the book of Allah Ta'ala. And it also comes in the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, that the sun moves. The sun moves, That's what Allah has said in His book. That has been furnished, established in the book. And you'll find that the great Imam from them is the great Imam Ibn Baz, rahimahullah, that says whoever rejects this, then he has rejected what Allah Ta'ala's book, and what comes as a result of it, where he can even fall into disbelief. So we'll find that from the beliefs and the ideologies of polytheists, they were the ones that came with the ideologies that the sun is the biggest star in the solar system, and it's in the middle, and all the stars revolve around it. Why? To glorify the sun. You'll find that the little stars that circle around the sun is as if it's glorifying it. If you notice, those were the ideologies of the polytheists of the past. And rather you'll find that that was from the beliefs of the polytheists of people who used to worship the sun. That they say that the sun is the biggest and it needs to be glorified. So as a result of it, the sun, these stars that come around it and revolve around it, what are they doing? It's as if they're magnifying, glorifying the sun. So that is, like we said, from the ideologies which came from the polytheists, where it crept into actually the science of what they call astrology. Or what they call, astronomy, which has a connection with both. But as regards with these stars in which we're speaking about now, that was the ideologies and that was their belief, that the sun is the biggest star in the solar system and the stars revolve around it, which is a belief of the polytheists, of those who used to worship the sun. And you notice that that type of knowledge creeped into what? It creeped inside of what? It creeped into astronomy, in which you'll find to this day that the science or scientists are still telling people that that is what's correct to this day. And that is an incorrect belief. The people what's incumbent upon them is to believe what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in His book, that the sun يَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرٍ لَهَا, that the sun, that it moves to its appointed time or its appointed term. And that the Prophet ﷺ is informed that every day the sun prostrates under the arsh of Allah. The kayfiyah, Allahu a'lam. And we know the narrations of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or the ayah, what the Prophet ﷺ has said from the ayat of the sun in the last days of times, that it will rise from where, everyone? It will rise from the west. So the sun, in this case, what we said based upon his narration, the sun is what moves. The moon moves. That is the belief of Ahlul Sunnah. That is what we believe. That these stars move, and that what the kuffar say about the sun being still, and it's the biggest star in the solar system, and all the other stars revolve around it, that is something that we said, Ya ma'ashal ikhwa, which is incorrect. That is what's incumbent upon a person to believe, and it also shows how these different types of ideologies and theories that have been implanted in our brains since we've been little, or since a lot of us were young, still to this day a lot of us believe that to be correct, because it's been something that we've been programmed with. We've been programmed with it until we get to a certain age, then when something new comes and alters it, we don't want to believe it. We don't want to believe that. Rather, you'll find, like we said, all of these are affairs in which has been rejected from Kitaab and Sunnah. As far as in regards to the earth itself, whether it's round or flat, there's nothing that's specific or detailed that gives something to show whether or not it's round or flat or what have you. But as far as the sun and the moon, that is established that they move. They move. The sun and the moon moves. That's been established in the book of Allah Ta'ala, and also in the authentic Sunnah of the Prophet Sallallahu. Now, as far as what they call tanjim, astronomy and astrology, that's what we're going to read in regards to what Imam al-Bukhari put in his Sahih. I want you to read it. Where's your book? Yes, put it on the table. Read it for me.
In the Sahih al-Bukhari said,
Qatada
said Allah created these stars for three things that were in the heavens, stoning
the shayateen,
and signs for navigation to the other, and tickets other than that about them is mistaken unless they share and mention what he has known knowledge of.
I would have liked you to read louder. You need a loud voice. Loud. Loud. Read the same thing. Loud.
In his Sahih al-Bukhari said Kitaab said God created these stars for three things: decorating the heavens, stoning the shayateen, and signs for navigation.
Jade. Read the next text for me, Bilal. No, not the same one. The next text. Loud. Read it again. Ibn Uyayna did not allow it. I'll make a concession for it. He didn't allow it. I don't know why they translated that like the concession for it. ذكره حرب. You know who Harb it was? That's Harb ibn Ismail al-Karmani, the great Imam. That's Harb ibn Ismail al-Karmani. He was from the great Ashab al-Imam Ahmad. He was from the great, those who were close to the Imam Ahmad, he was from the greatest of those who took knowledge from the Imam Ahmad. His name was Harb ibn Ismail al-Karmani, the great Imam. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Like, loud. Ishaq. Who's Ishaq? Who's Ishaq? Ishaq. Who's Ishaq, everyone? Ahsant. Anybody knows his real name, his whole name? We'll talk about that in a minute. I'll get into it, inshallah. طيب. So this is the new chapter which comes in also, we said the affair what they call Tanjim. This right here is the whole chapter that refutes those who are involved in zodiac signs and other than them, which is of three different types. As a lot of people think there's one. There are other ones. And each level has its own magnitude of its evil. And that's what we're going to discuss, inshallah. For your file Bukhari, as it says, قال Bukhari fi Sahihi. Well, verse number 1, we want to talk about that you'll find that the great Imam, or the great Imam, Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahhab, rahimahullah, that he put a tanjim. For what is this? The meaning of the word tanjim, what is intended by is to have the belief that what? That the stars have some type of influence or impact on this existence or on the earth. Or anything that takes place in this existence at all. There's other details we're going to give, inshallah, that's going to come, don't worry. But that's what we're speaking about now. That the stars have some influence or impact or in this what? On this planet or in this what? Or this dunya. They have some type of influence or impact, or they allow certain things to happen, which we're going to discuss, inshallah. This type of i'tiqad, or this belief that the stars have some type of influence or impact over this existence, was an old belief. It wasn't a belief that's something new. Rather, you'll find during the time of the great prophet, Khalil Rahman, Ibrahim, during his time, alayhi wa ala nabiyina afdal salatu wa tammat taslim, you'll find that Ibrahim, during his time, was the people called As-Sabi'ah. The Sabi'ah, they used to believe that the stars have some control over this existence. That the stars. That's why if you notice that Ibrahim, and especially in Surah Al-Baqarah, what did he say? He said when he seen that this star was going up, he said, هَذَا Rabbi. He said when it went away, he says, to the end of it, He said, for this one is not my what? This Lord. For verily I do not like that which goes away. To the end of the ayat. Notice he was talking about the stars. If you notice, the Ibrahim, alayhi salatu wassalam, was talking about the stars. Why? Because during the time of Ibrahim, that was the fitna of his people. The fitna of his people is that they used to believe that the stars had some influence over the what? Over the earth. That was one of the reasons why Ibrahim in those ayats, he was refuting it. So don't think people say, he's just talking about the sun that it goes away or that the moon goes away. And that. No, he was making a rebuttal and a refutation against Baal. Because that was the fitna of his people. You understand? Is it clear to everyone what I'm saying? That's the reason why Ibrahim was talking about the stars. Because he was making what? A refutation against what his people were involved in. And the people that what they involved in were called the Sabi'ah. The Sabi'ah, they used to believe that the stars used to make things happen. They used to make certain things happen and take place. They also used to build huge structures, al-hayakil, the Sabi'ah. And we know that the Sabi'ah were the people of who? Nimrud. Or as they translate, Nimrod, I think. If I'm not mistaken, Nimrod. It was Nimrud, the people of the Sabi'ah, they were headed by Nimrud. So that was their fitna. Their fitna, or their type of polytheism and shirk that they were involved in, was pertaining to the stars. Which has a strong connection with, you'll find, of what people do as far as in regards to belief in what? Zodiac signs. Even though what the Sabi'ah believed was something worse. You'll find that they used to say that the stars actually conducted itself, of course. Whereas the people of zodiac signs used to, if some of them dependent on their i'tiqad, whether they believe that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has nothing to do with this existence, then that's something we'll talk about in detail in a minute. That's going to come, inshallah. That's all going to come in detail. At the end of the day, all of it is shirk. At the end of the day. At the end of the day, all of it is polytheism. But anyway, so this was the fitna of the people of Ibrahim, alayhi salatu wassalam. So this is what took place during his time, and this was their fitna. Notice it says in Bukhari that it says, do they say in your book ta'liq? They don't say ta'liq. Let me see if they put in your book ta'liq. But anyway, it says, Bukhari said in Sahih, meaning in his Sahih, from the aspect what they call ta'liqan. Ta'liqan. I don't think they put it in your books, but it's supposed to be in there. I don't think, let me see if it's in, I think they're supposed to have it in here. No, it's not in there. Well, it's not in this print. But anyway, Bukhari put in his Sahih. He put in his Sahih ta'liqan. Ta'liqan. Ta'liqan, when Bukhari means he mentioned it without the isnad. He just mentioned it with the person who said it, either the Sahabi or someone from the Salaf that mentioned it. He did not mention the whole isnad. He just said, for example, Qala Abu Hurairah, such and such. In certain places, not in all places in Bukhari, of course, in certain places. There's a reason why Imam al-Bukhari did that in certain places, but not in all places. Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar has a book called Taghliq al-Ta'liq. Taghliq al-Ta'liq. I have it, it's about 4 or 5 volumes. Taghliq al-Ta'liq was made by Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar, where all the hadith that Imam al-Bukhari, that he mentioned is Sahih, Ta'liqan, meaning without the whole isnad. He brought the reasons of why he did it, and he also mentioned the whole isnad. That was a whole book that Al-Hafidh ibn Hajar had mentioned, which he entitled Taghliq al-Ta'liq. Taghliq al-Ta'liq. But anyway, just to make a long story short, from those ta'liqat, or what they call mu'allaqat al-Bukhari, mu'allaqat al-Bukhari, when you say mu'allaqat al-Bukhari, meaning what he mentioned without the isnad, which is very few, and there's a reason why he did that. There's a couple of places in Bukhari why that Imam al-Bukhari will mention a particular hadith without the isnad. You will find that Ahl al-Ilm mention why. Some of them was to summarize. He might have mentioned it already with the isnad, and when he wanted to mention it again, he didn't want to repeat the whole isnad all the way over and over again, and it would make the book more bigger and bigger and bigger, unnecessarily. So that was one of the reasons why he'll mention certain narrations mu'allaqan, in order to save it from the book from being so much bigger. But anyway, to make a long story short, these are from those narrations in Bukhari which are mu'allaq. Here, which was mentioned on the authority of Qatada ibn Da'am as-Sadusi, where he mentioned it said that Qatada, the great Imam ibn Da'am as-Sadusi, that he said that the stars were created for three purposes only. That's it, no more, no less. زينة للسماء ورجوما للشياطين وعلامات يهتدى بها. Decoration for the stars. Decoration for the heavens, excuse me. Decoration for the heavens. As missiles for the devils. And signs in which the people will be directed by. Meaning within the lands or in their journeys, on their roads or what have you. Or at night. And whoever interprets other than that, then they have أخطأ. They've been mistaken. وأضاع نصيبه وتكلف ما لا علم له به. Then they have also invalidated their portion and they have burdened themselves with an affair they have no knowledge of. So these are the three purposes of why the stars are in the heavens. For these three reasons only. Just to decorate the heavens, to shoot down the shayateen, and for the people or the travelers to be directed by. No more, no less. That's it. No more, no less. Though this is the reason why the stars are there. We'll talk about should people try to journey off to the stars and journey off inside of space, as they call it, the final frontier. All of that is a waste of time. It's a waste of time. A waste of a lot of time in which a lot of people do not have any knowledge of. Journeying off into an affair in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not burden the creation with. Which we'll talk about inshallah. And I am in serious doubt, rather I do not believe that Neil Armstrong journeyed to the moon. I am in serious doubt about that. Rather I don't believe it. Which we'll talk about inshallah. طيب. For your find, ya ma'ash al-ikhwa, that it said that it was mentioned in Bukhari, ta'liqan. You'll find that the A'imma said that ta'liq al-Bukhari breaks down to two types. You have that which is made bi sighat al-jazm, and then you have what they call bi sighat al-tad'if al-tamreed. Ahyan al-Bukhari brings in the Sahih two types of mu'allaqat. One is that which he brought was saying bi sighat al-jazm. Sighat al-jazm mean that he brought a word that necessitates that it was truly authentic. For example, haddathana or qala. Excuse me, I'm sorry everyone, that's it, isnad. Qala, not qila. Qala or yarwi, he narrated or he said. That's called sighat al-jazm. He said, he narrated. Sighat al-tamreed, if it has some type of da'af, it would say, it was said. That's the second type. Sighat al-tamreed or sighat al-da'af or tad'if. That it was said. Or it was narrated. If the Imam al-Bukhari mentions that, he'll mention it with this type of what? This type of wording. There's athar in it, and some of those athar, which he'll mention for a reason. I'll talk about that later on. I feel like speaking about Mu'allaqat al-Bukhari and why he mentions some with sighat al-jazm and some with sighat al-tamreed or sighat al-tad'if. I'll talk about that later. But anyway, for sighat al-tamreed or sighat al-jazm, jazm is when a person definitely said it, where he said, or he narrated. That's called sighat al-jazm. That means that is the type that Imam al-Bukhari brought in his Sahih to let one know that it was truly narrated. The second one is what they call sighat al-tamreed, the type which indicates that there's some type of weakness, which I'll explain later why Imam al-Bukhari mentioned it in that manner. At any rate, Imam al-Bukhari, like we said, mentioned as Athar on Kitaab of Da'am as-Sadusi, the great Imam al-Tafsir and Hadith, yarhamukallah. He said that Allah Ta'ala created the stars for these three purposes. Zinata lis-sama, to decorate the heavens. As we know, there are a lot of ayahs that Allah Ta'ala mentions in His book about the stars. That there are two types of what has been used to guide the travelers in their journeys. One was the lands, or what they call al-alamat, of course, al-abdiyah. You have the signs that are done within the earth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about, meaning the mountains and the roads. As Allah Ta'ala says in His book, in Surah An-Nahl, وَأَلْقَى فِي الْأَرْضِ رَوَاسِيَ أَن تَمِيدَ بِكُمْ وَأَنْهَارًا وَسُبُلًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ وَعَلَامَاتٍ وَبِالنَّجْمِ هُمْ يَهْتَدُونَ. As Allah Ta'ala says in Surah An-Nahl, He says, وَأَلْقَى فِي الْأَرْضِ رَوَاسِيَ أَن تَمِيدَ بِكُمْ وَأَنْهَارًا وَسُبُلًا لَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ. He has casted in the earth what? He has casted in the earth those signs in the earth in which you can be guided by, from them which is what? The rivers. Well, first He mentioned the mountains. And tamida bikum, to keep you from shaking. So the mountains were used in order to keep the earth firmly from what? From quaking and shaking. So you will not shake. For He casted those rawasi. The rawasi are the mountains. That's so you will not be quiver, or will keep the earth from shaking from underneath you. And those rivers, and also those roads, those are the called al-alamat al-adiyah, in which the people will be guided by in the daytime. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talked about the signs in which the people will be guided by in the night. Which is the what? Which is the stars throughout their journey. Which is al-alamat, of course we know, as-samawiyah, which is the heavenly body, or the heavenly stars, in which the people are utilized to, or they utilize them to be guided, so they would not become what? Lost within the what? Their travels and in their journeys. For that which you mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned about these signs, these is to show that number one, of course, they are the signs in which the people are guided by. And also the ayat in which Allah Ta'ala mentions Surah Al-Mulk and other than them, where He said about the stars, وَزَيَّنَّ السَّمَاءَ بِمَصَابِيحِ, that we have decorated the heavens, that they are what? To be decorated, we have decorated the heavens by the stars. And we have also made them lanterns, masabih. We have made them lanterns. Meaning that they be decorated, they be used as light during the night. As we also know, that what is used as far as the stars are utilized to shoot down the missiles and the devils. As we know, during the time before the message of Allah was sent as a messenger and the prophet, that there used to be an abundance of the shayateen that would steal from something that was preordained in the heavens from the malaika. But once the final revelation has started, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had made the missiles to protect the heavens. So they would be restricted from stealing any type of revelation. So if they was to try to do it, it was now reduced to the point where few were able to do that. Even though from time to time it happens, but it was dramatically what? Reduced. To the point where, like we said, that during the time of the Messenger of Allah, when the revelation started, that the devils, when they tried to steal from something that was preordained in the heavens, from the malaika, they were shot down by the heavens. And this clearly comes in the ayah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Al-Jinn, where Allah ta'ala says in His book, وَكُنَّا نَقْعُدُ مِنْهَا مَقَاعِدَ لِلسَّمْعِ فَمَنْ يَسْتَمِعِ الْآنَ يَجِدَ لَهُ شِهَابًا رَصَدًا وَأَنَّا لَا نَدْرِي أَشَرٌّ أُرِيدَ بِمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَمْ أَرَادَ بِهِمْ رَبُّهُمْ رَشَدًا. As the shayateen said, كُنَّا نَقْعُدُ مِنْهَا مَقَاعِدَ لِلسَّمْعِ. Meaning before the revelation started, we used to sit and we used to lurk and we used to steal. And we used to do it in abundance before the revelation started. Now when the revelation started, what did they say? كُنَّا قَعُدُ مِنْهَا مَقَاعِدَ السَّمْعِ فَمَنْ يَسْتَمِعِ الْآنِ. Whoever tries to listen to it now, يَجِدَ لَهُ شِهَابًا رَصَدًا. he finds that a shooting star is coming right at him to shoot him down. Ar-Razzaaq, in order to protect the heavens. And verily we do not know what is intended for the people of the earth. Is good intended for them, or is evil intended? شَرٌ أُرِيدَ بِمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ أَمْ أَرَادَ بِهِمْ رَبُّهُمْ رَشَدًا. Is it evil which is being intended for the people of the earth, or did their earth or their Lord want for them guidance? طيب. This is to show that the shayateen used to what? They used to sit and they used to try to steal. And after the revelation started, then the heavens became heavily protected and guarded by the what? By the stars, what they find are the shooting stars coming at them if they would try to steal something that's been preordained in the heavens with the malaika. So you find that these are the three things in which the shayateen, in which Kitaab Da'am as-Sadusi was mentioned in here. Excuse me, everyone. The Kitaab Da'am as-Sadusi was mentioned in. Number one is what? Decoration. Number two. Number three.
Size for navigation.
For the travelers to be, or used as navigation, for them to be guided by in their journeys and their travels. طيب. So this is what's in regards to now these three affairs. And anyone who goes beyond that, you clearly see in the other, what does it say? What does the great Imam Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab mention? That Kitaab al-Da'am, that Imam al-Bukhari mentions, that Kitaab al-Da'am as-Sadusi mentions, that what? Whoever goes beyond these three affairs, he has burdened himself what he has no knowledge of. Not only that, he's gravely mistaken and he has what? Invalidated his portion. We'll talk about that this necessitates also kufr. This one is not careful. This can necessitate disbelief. He has burdened himself with something he has no knowledge of. طيب. So you'll find that those from the Muslims out there who are involved inside, or they partake inside of what? Astrology. Numerology is something different. That's involved in the numbers. But astrology, involved inside of zodiac signs. All these affairs you'll find and we'll speak about are all connected with disbelief, because one has now burdened himself or herself with knowledge in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not make the stars for whatsoever. So it says that that person is greatly mistaken, that none of the stars have been created for this purpose. And the person now burdened himself, as far as in regards to the stars, for a function that the stars were not created for in the first place. For number one, if a person now wants to use or utilize the stars to say that it indicates that certain events are going to take place, or that the wind is going to blow a certain way, or that rain is going to now descend, or someone is going to die, or someone is going to be born, or someone is going to receive success in a certain affair, or they're going to be humiliated in a certain affair, all of that is from what we're speaking about now, and all of that is from fabrication and lying and going inside of a realm which is only from the affairs in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has knowledge of. And it's from merely guessing and claiming to have knowledge of the unseen, in which Allah has not sent down any authority. Is it clear or is it not clear? For verily these affairs of which we're discussing now that take place returns back to who? The one who has knowledge of the unseen, who is Allah himself. The one should not now come and try to utilize the stars in order to journey out in these type of affairs and speak about them. And that's what we're going to speak about a little bit in detail now, to the next athar, which is called Manazil al-Qamar. طيب. So that's the origin. The origin is what they call astronomy or astrology, which we're going to speak about, which is in regards to now saying that certain stars, based upon their position, has an effect on what takes place in this existence. That's going to come inshallah. There's another, because there's three categories of that, and each one is worse than the other. طيب. Notice that Kitaab Da'am as-Sadusi, that he said whoever learns Manazil al-Qamar, which says that he hates. As we talked about last class, everyone, we talked about karaha as upon two types. During the time of the Salaf, the origin of the word karaha, what did we say 3 weeks ago? You have that karaha breaks down to 2 types. You have karaha to tahrim, and you have karaha to tanzih. You have karaha to tahrimiyah, and you have karaha to tanzihiyah. The origin, the asl, the salaf, when they used the word karaha, that it meant that something was haram. That was the origin of the word karaha. Of the word karaha. Here, Qatada ibn Da'am al-Sadusi is saying, is it detested, meaning that it's makruh, meaning that is it just that's detested, it's hated, or is he speaking about that this affair is haram? What is he speaking about here? Haram. So karaha here is for what? To feed the tahrim. It necessitates something that's being impermissible. Then you'll find upon the istilah of the terminology, of course, what was used later. It was used later for something that was considered detested, or what they call, and that means to feed a tanzih or karahat al-tanzih, meaning something is just disliked. That was the second meaning that was used later on. But the origin of it, karaha, and its origin, it means it was necessitates that something was haram. A lot of people do not know that. They think karaha, as soon as they say karaha al-tanzih, oh, it's just detested. It means it's hated. No. The origin of the salaf is that the karaha meant that it necessitates or it necessitates a tahrim. That means it's impermissible. Until, like we said, unless the context comes and moves it to another hukum, which is what's called karahat al-tanzih, was something being detested or disliked. That was the second meaning that was used later. Here, if you notice that Kitaab al-Da'am al-Sadusi is using it for what? Karahat al-tahrim or karahat al-tanzih? Tahrim. He's using it here in this context for tahrim. So that is what necessitates here for what they call manazil al-qabr. Read it for me, Ahmed. You have your book? No, it's supposed to be in there. Qatada hated, or he detested. It's in there. He's just not looking right. See how he translated it? Disliked. Wrong. Incorrect. He disliked? No. Here it necessitates tahrim. It says that Qatada rejected. Yarhamakallah. Qatada rejected? Yeah, rejected. ماشي حال. تفضل. Ibn Uyayna. لم يرخص فيه. لم يرخص فيه ابن عيينة فيه. Meaning he didn't make it to be permissible. He didn't deem it to be permissible. Concession fee. تفضل. حرب. 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 Yeah, حرب is حرب. There you go. طيب. So you have Qatada Da'am al-Sadusi says haram. Sufyan ibn Uyayna said is what? Not permissible either. Harb ibn Ismail al-Karmani, the great Imam, mentioned that upon Qatada Da'am al-Sadusi and also Sufyan ibn Uyayna. However, what does it say? Who? Ahmed? Ishaq? What did you say? Ishaq. Ishaq. طيب. So you'll find aqwal from Ahl al-Ilm, that you'll find that some of them say that manazil al-qabr is what? Impermissible. Then you have Imam Ahmad was Ishaq ibn Rahawayh, al-Hamdali al-Naysaburi, the great Imam. al-Hanzali al-Naysaburi, the great Imam, that he mentioned and said that it is. طيب. For that reason, we bring the statement of the great Imam of today, Ibn Fawzan, Ibn Abdullah al-Fawzan, Hafidhullah wa ra'ah. Now listen what he says. Manazil al-Qamar. What did they call it? How they translate in your books again? Manazil al-Qamar? Say it again. The moon's orbit? Alright. You'll find that the moon's orbit, what is intended by it, is how the moon, how it moves or descends in certain places or positions throughout the what? The month and throughout the day, every day on its course in 1 month. And they say that it breaks down to what? Usually what they say, how many? 28 positions. 28. 14 is Yamaniya and 14 is what they call Shamiya, which is equivalent to how much? 28. So that's how they break it down. طيب. So the moon moves from Yamaniya, 14 positions, and the other 14s they say Shamiya. Just listen. طيب. Then on the 29th or the 30th, what did they say? As far as in the 19th or the 20th, then it what? It hides. It's something as far as its position, certain ways. Meaning that it hides in the light of the moon, of the sun. This is what somebody told me, and I forgot to pay attention to this before. When the sun, in the daytime, does anyone notice that this moon is still there, even throughout the day or not? Never noticed that? It's there. It's there. No. The moon is still there. A lot of people just becomes hidden. You understand? That's what they're talking about here. For example, I'll say it again. Manazil al-Qamar is in the position where you'll find that it breaks down to what? 28. 28 positions. Or 28, the way it moves. As they call it, they say 14 is Yamaniya. 14 is Shamiya. He said that they come in a certain position every night. A specific type of stage. The sign for this stage, they'll say, for example, is a star. Or they'll say the sign for this stage, for example, the position of it is based upon a certain star, what have you. I think they say, if you want, for lack of better words. And that the that the moon, that it does like this and moves like this all throughout the month. And even during the day, you'll find that the sun will what? That the sun throughout the year, of course, has a certain positions. But with the moon, is in 1 month. But in the sun, is throughout the year, of course. He said these are the positions of the moon every month. Every night, they're in a position or a certain stage. He says, and in the 29th and in the 30th, it hides, meaning within the light of the sun. Which is an indication that what? That during the day, the moon is still what? It's still there. You just don't see it. But it's still there. That's what even when a person, when I was studying, if even I was discussing, me and Abdul Mateen was discussing this too. He even said, I remember he was telling me, he said the moon is still there during the day. A lot of people don't know that. It's still there. You just don't see it. But it's there. Right or wrong, everyone? With certain people. You don't know that, Musa? When the sun comes up, the moon is still there. You just don't see it. But at any rate, they say in the 29th and the 30th, it becomes more even hidden than the light of the sun. Fine. At any rate, the question is it permissible to learn this or not? As far as this type of science or knowledge, you'll find that Qatada said it's not permissible. And accompanied along with that was Sufyan ibn Uyayna. Right? Fine. Sheikh Salih Fawzan says, what is permissible from this? We go, Abdullah. You leaving? Oh, you got to go to work. Okay. I didn't even know you was going. Fine. He said, you'll find that what is permissible is what is utilized as far as in this regard, as long as the one person does not believe that the position of the moon that it has any effect on the earth, or any type of affairs that's pertaining to the unseen are now starting to what? Be partaken in or involved in. If that is the case, it is not permissible. But if it's just utilized in order to say, for example, this direction is this way, or that the Kaaba is this way, or that certain directions is this way, or now a certain time or certain season or what have you. If it's utilized for this, there's no problem with that. Or for a certain time where vegetation becomes ripe throughout a season, or when a certain time. Tafadal. This is what Imam Ahmed, matter of fact, I'm going to read it right now. Absolutely. Anytime you see Ahmed Ishaq, know for sure that's Ahmed ibn Hanbal. Ishaq ibn Rahaway, that's Imam Ahmed's sheikh, or from his shuyukh. Ishaq is one of Imam Ahmed's teachers. Tafadal. No. If it's been affected, for example, the winds or something as far as it regards to now, as far as, what do you call it, the weather changes, if that's been established, Allahu A'lam, that has to be checked. But if you're saying that, like I said, that this particular hurricane or catastrophe is going to take place based upon it, that's not permissible. Because that's something pertaining to events that takes place on the earth. If that's the case, then it's not permissible to do that. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? That has to be checked, though. That's a photo. Is it based upon the seasons or something to that effect? Or? Oh, so it's time. Oh, okay. Oh. Are they talking about, is that what you're talking about? Oh. Has some type of impact on fluid. I understand, it's clear. Clear. Oh, that's clear. Oh, but that doesn't look like there's something pertaining to the knowledge of the unseen at all. We're talking about people that says, for example, this star is in the sky in this position. Based upon this catastrophe is going to take place. If that's the case, then that's unpermissible. But I understand what you guys are saying. You're saying that based upon, they say that the moon, on a full moon, that has some type of effect on the gravitational pull on the earth, where it has some type of like scientific effect. That they're saying that the star or the moon, some type of way, the gravitational pull will cause the tides to be made in the earth, or what have you. I don't see that to be that, and that has to be checked. Allahu A'lam. Oh, no, Allahu A'lam. That's a little bit to me. Just going to. Allahu A'lam. That I know, Allahu A'lam. Allahu A'lam. That I never heard of. That's new. But what you guys said as far as the tides, I've heard of that. But as far as it regards to that, Allah knows best. And I don't see that to be something that's pertaining to what drifted into the knowledge of the unseen, or affairs that pertain to the unseen, and Allah knows best, and that has to be rechecked. That has to be checked. But what I'm speaking about now is in regards to saying that certain catastrophes or certain disasters that they predict that they're going to happen based upon the position of the moon or the stars. That's what we're speaking about. That's considered polytheism. This such and such catastrophe is going to take place because this particular star is coupled with this star and it's in this position. So that means that such and such is going to take place in such and such May on the 10th, in such and such year. This catastrophe is going to happen. If a person does that, then that's what we're speaking about. But so far as what you guys are speaking about, as far as like we said, gravitational, the moon having some type of effect over the gravitational pull of the earth, that has to be checking. Allah knows best. But as far as the manazil al-qamar, are you cold? You guys are cold? You sure? You guys are cold? Is it warm? You cold? Alright, gee, as long as nobody's cold. طيب. So as far as in regards to what you'll find that Imam Ahmed, let's go back to what Sheikh Salih Fawzan actually said. He said the second statement, أنه لا بأس به بتعلم منازل القمر وهذا ما يسمى بعلم التسيير وهو مذهب الإمام أحمد وإسحاق بن راهويه وهو قول كثير من أهل العلم وهذا هو الصحيح إن شاء الله لأجل ما فيه من الفوائد وعدم المحظور وأما الممنوع فهو علم التأثير اعتقاد أن هذه النجوم تؤثر في الكون. That's what he's talking about. هذا هو الممنوع. أما معرفة حسابها من أجل الفوائد من غير اعتقاد أن لها تأثيرا في الكون فهذا لا بأس به ولا يزال العلماء يتعلمونه ويعلمونه للناس لفوائده العظيمة. He said, for as far as the second statement, which agrees with the position of Imam Ahmad Ishaq ibn Rahawayh, that he said there's no problem with learning the manazil al-qamar, or the orbit of the moon. He said, but verily that is called ilm al-tasyir, the knowledge of what they call tasyir, meaning what facilitates and makes things easy. And that is the statement and the position of Imam Ahmad or Ishaq ibn Rahawayh. He said that is what is correct, of what it has and possesses of benefits, and nothing which is considered a mahdhur, anything prohibited. He said, for verily what is prohibited is the knowledge of things having an influence or an impact on the earth or in the dunya. To have the belief that these stars that they affect in its existence, this is what's prohibited. As for having knowledge of its positions due to the fact of what it has of benefits, I think for certain times, certain seasons, or knowing the certain times for certain things, or distances or directions, and the benefits it might possess, then there's no problem with that. And he says even the ulama of today, that they still learn it and they teach it to the people due to the different types of benefits that it has. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? So what's the correct position? As far as in regards to the orbit of the moon. What's the correct position? Huh? What's the correct position in regards to the orbit of the moon? I just said it. That's the reason why I asked. What's the correct position in regards to the orbit of the moon? That's a good crutch. I like that one. Suhail? What's the correct position in regards to the orbit of the moon? How? How can you use it? What's permissible? What is it? Jay, that's all I wanted to know. You awake? Awake? You said you what? So why didn't you say it? Your mind drifting. Mind should be on things that it shouldn't. You don't have no point in worrying about. Tafadal. Huh? The Qibla. I thought you said Qibla. The Qibla. Yeah, you can utilize it to know the Qibla. No doubt. Jay. Type. So now in regards to what they call ilm al-ta'thir, that it breaks down to three categories. As far as the knowledge of what's impermissible. Impermissible. Those knowledges break down to three categories, Musa. 3. Number 1, Bilal, is, write this down. You have your pen? Is to believe that these stars, that they conduct in its existence by itself and they make things happen. And I'll say it quickly. اعتقاد أن هذه الكواكب هي التي تحدث هذه الحوادث الكونية وأن مصدر الحوادث هو حركات الكواكب وتشكلاتها. The belief that the stars, that they make events happen and take place in this existence. And they are the center and the cause of events based upon its positions and based upon its movements and based upon its shapes. They make things happen. They're the ones that make and allow things to happen. This was the belief of the people of the great Prophet ﷺ during his time, the Sabi'ah. This was their belief. This was their belief. They used to believe that the stars bring about events and bring about occurrences and things that happen. For whoever believes this, then their Islam is nullified. This is major polytheism. This major polytheism will nullify your shahada, la ilaha illallah, of this type of belief. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Like we said, this is the belief of the Sabi'ah. Due to the fact, like we said, is denial and the removal of Al-Khaliq, of the Creator. Rather, the belief of these planets, they're the reason, not the reason, excuse me. Rather, they are the ones that bring about occurrences and events, whether they be disasters. They're the ones that create it. They're the ones that make it happen. And what comes as a result of their shapes and their movements, everything that happens in this existence of good and evil. This is the worst form and the worst type of what? Not only shirk, of the belief as far as the stars. This is the worst type. You understand, everyone? If a person believes this is the polytheism in which, like we said, which will nullify ones of Islam, and it is the worst form and the worst type of this type of belief, which is called ilm at-ta'thir, the knowledge that the stars have an effect or influence or impact on its existence. Now, repeat to me what I just said. In summary, what's the first type of knowledge of the stars that's impermissible? They're the ones that make it happen. They cause it. They're the ones that actually create. If you want to say it for lack of better words, they create it. They're the ones that bring it about, create it. You understand, everyone? For verity, this type of belief is renouncing and rejecting the Al-Khaliq, who's Allah Ta'ala, who's the one that is in total control what takes place in this existence of good and evil. Allah allows it to happen for a reason, even though at the same time we still have our own choice, because that's also from our belief. Is it clear, everyone? Type. The second type, which makes the difference from the first, is that they believe that the stars is the sabab. It's the reason for why things happen. The difference between the first one is that they're the ones that actually make it happen. The second one is that they're the reason why it happened. You understand? That they're the reason. And then the affairs of what takes place is ascribed to the stars, which is a perfect example of what? Zodiac signs. Zodiac signs, people believe, based upon the position of this star, or that if you're Leo, or Capricorn, or Sagittarius, and all this other nonsense, based upon this position in this particular time, that my love life is going to be successful this month, or that my business is going to be lucrative this month, or that my love life is going to be in turmoil this month, or that my business is going to struggle this month. The people utilize the stars for this position, and they say that these are the reasons, and they ascribe their affairs to it. This is also what? This is also part of the polytheism that will also, if you're not careful, it is not permissible. Rather, it will nullify your Islam if one is not careful. It will nullify your Islam. because it's major polytheism. تفضل. Coincidentally, also falls into it to say that it's nothing happens by coincidence. Nothing in this existence happens coincidentally. All of it was written by Allah wa ta'ala. I don't know. What do they believe? They believe in zodiac signs. What, zodiac signs? This is something they believe to this day. They have apps for it. They have apps for zodiac signs now. No, it's a Western thing in general. They believe in zodiac signs. Christians and Jews, rather the Jews are more heavy in magic than the Christians, just as much as the Christians. They both involve themselves in. Keep in mind, all these affairs is talking about magic. It's all connected with magic, some type of way. You understand? Like, Jews and Christians both are heavy involved in magic, especially the Jews. You understand? But yeah, they're before Isa, during the time of Ibrahim. Well, you mean when they started it, or when? No, they were mushrikun. They were mushrikun. No, they were mushrikun. They were mushriks. They weren't people to book. They were mushriks. Huh? Rahmatullah. Yeah, I remember that. To tell you what will be your outcome of your love life, or your business, or your relationship, or what have you. What was you saying again? No, they were mushrikun. No. The ideology, never saying that they started the actual zodiac sign affair itself. The ideology was there, the concept was with them. So initially this started from their type of way of thinking. You understand now? That's what we're talking about. So what we're saying is that the second type, to describe that certain affairs happen, no matter what it is, as far as affairs of whether or not it be a love life, or certain people utilize the stars to judge and say that a certain place, a certain person is going to die, or a certain person is going to live, or a catastrophe is going to take place, or fertilization was going to take place in a certain land, or what have you, any of these affairs. For verily, if a person utilizes the stars to predict or say that certain of these matters are going to now take place, this falls under the category which we're speaking about now. Like we talked about coincidence. There's no such thing that happens by coincidence. Everything happens by what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has written. Everything. You do not say, for example, that the stars, coincidentally it might have happened where such and such star said, for example, in fact, alhamdulillah, I just remembered. Even the great Imam, Sheikh Salih Fawzan mentions the same exact thing. He said, for example, let's just say so-and-so Sagittarius was supposed to have a bad love life. Right? And let's just say on that particular time, his love life was bad. So that means that what the stars told me was what? True. He said, no. It just so happened that star just agreed with the qadr of what Allah Ta'ala already had written out. That's only what happened. So it wasn't the fact that the star had any effect, or that now you gain some type of knowledge of the unseen based upon that so happened in that particular time that the star was in that position, so something bad happened. It just so it's just that the qadr had agreed with what took place at that particular time, or what was supposed to be something bad that happened in your life. That's it. No more, no less. You understand? That's it. Is it kind of clear what I'm saying? That's not referred to as a coincidence. That's not sudfa. What they call musadafa. Or sudfa. You can say either one. Sudfatan, or you can say musadafatan, Or you can say aradan. All of it means coincidental in Arabic. Musadafatan or sudfatan or aradan. Huh? Who's going to say? We talked about that. That Allah Ta'ala will allow certain things to happen to the polytheists as a result to lead them astray. And these are from the affairs of what we're talking about. Either by shirk or kufr or these type of beliefs. That Allah Ta'ala preordained that a certain affair happen or allow them to be led astray by these matters in order for them to put in their mind that these things actually do what? Have some validity. You understand what I'm saying? And Allah Ta'ala leads them astray by it. As Allah Ta'ala says in His book, وَذَرْنِي وَمَن يُكَذِّبُ بِهَذَا الْحَدِيثِ نَسْتَدْرِجُهُم مِّنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ وَأُمْلِي لَهُمْ إِنَّ كَيْدِي مَتِينٌ. That we'll keep giving them more and more what they want, and verily my plot is strong. Type, so that they will be led astray by them making dua to other than Allah, or worshiping Jesus the Son of Mary, or worshiping Buddha. And then it so happened, as they say, that when I worshiped Buddha, and when I called on Buddha, my prayer was answered. So that means that is what? It must be the truth. You'll find that he said that either that what you ask for agree with the qadr, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed it to happen, or Allah answered their dua in order that to be led astray by what they were doing so they could be misguided even more. Same thing with this. Same exact thing. They'll make dua or they'll believe in this, and as a result of it, in that particular time that it happened, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala either preordained a certain affair or the qadr had agreed, where it's so at that particular time that something of a test was supposed to happen, so they think that it agrees with the what? The star. But in actuality, it just happened to agree with the what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had already predetermined and destined for the individual. No more, no less. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Jayid. So that's the second affair. The third one is to utilize the stars as an evidence for things to happen in the future. That's the third category. And this type is from what we're speaking about now. Magic. To claim to have knowledge of the unseen. From people fortune telling, soothsaying, and also predicting. And that's a type of magic. So that's the third. Number 3, utilizing these affairs as an evidence for occurrences or events that will take place in the future. That in itself, this third category, is from the aspect of magic. Sihr. You see clear what I'm saying? That's why I thought you was cool. You understand what I'm saying? Is it clear or not? You have to chill? Oh, you just get to chill. Is it clear what I'm saying? This right here is a type of what? Sihr. It's a type of sihr. Due to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, من اكتسب شعبة من النجوم فقد اكتسب شعبة من السحر زاد ما زاد. Whoever acquires a branch of the knowledge of the stars, then he has acquired a branch of the knowledge of what? Magic. Zad ma zad. The more he increases in the knowledge of it, the more he increases in learning more magic. Is it clear? So it's all tied in at the end of the day with affairs that's pertaining to sihr. So that's the reason why you find a great imam that he put all this in the chapter talking about directly after magic. Even these affairs have in some type of shape, form, or fashion, is connected with sihr. Is it clear what I'm saying, everyone? Especially those who claim to have knowledge of the unseen and predict certain things. You'll find that they utilize sometimes the stars based upon what type of kufr they're using, or what type of magic or disbelief that they're using. Sometimes they will utilize the stars for it. Usually people who are involved inside of magic end up utilizing these type of affairs. Then they mix it in with certain types of witchcraft or belief or what have you. It's all tied in together. Is it clear what I'm saying or not? Right. So that's the reason why these 3 types is all what? Impermissible. And depending on which one, like we said, one is more in depth in kufr or more deep in disbelief than the other. Depending on one's what? Practice of it. All these affairs are impermissible, and I hope that puts a perspective for those brothers and sisters that I have seen with my own eyes, that I've seen in comments or I put in certain brothers. When you look on Twitter, and then you'll find there's a sister under there that says Niqabi so-and-so, that I am a Sagittarius this month. And I would say, wow, you have totally nullified by that belief the whole reason why you're even covering with a whole niqab and jilbab. The whole reason now has no benefit of you covering when you're committing major polytheism with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You understand, everyone? So I've seen that. Look under the brothers are for brothers on Twitter and du'at for my brothers, and even what has been reported and sent to me from certain people, even from my own wife, telling me, see, this is the importance of learning Tawheed. Look at this sister right here. Such and such and such, Khadija, Sister Khadija, I'm a Sagittarius this month. So I guess my love life is not going to look too good for me. Or, I guess my marriage is not going to work well because I'm a Capricorn this month, and Capricorns don't get along with Sagittarius, and a Sagittarius doesn't get along with a Leo, and a Leo doesn't get along with a Capricorn, and that more than likely we're going to bump heads this month because the position of the stars is this and such and such and such and such. You understand? I hope that we just covered today puts all of that in perspective. All of it is polytheism, and all of it is what? Disbelief with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These affairs are baseless, and they are from the affairs of Jahiliyyah, and they're from the affairs of the mushrikeen of the past and the mushrikeen of today. Is it clear, everyone? Stop biting your nails. We'll read the last text, we'll stop, inshallah. Read the last one for me, Hassan. Yeah, no. No. Hadith Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. I was right here. I'm sorry. Right here. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari.
From Abu Musa, who said that Allah's messenger said they would not enter paradise. The one addicted to khamr.
One who's addicted to alcohols and intoxicants.
One who cuts the relations of kinship and the believer in magic, recorded by Ahmed and Ibn
Hibban
in his
Sahih. What was Ibn Hibban's real name? Excuse me. What was his the original title of his Sahih, Ibn Hibban? What was the original title of Sahih Ibn Hibban? The original title was called At-Taqasim wal-Anwa'. At-Taqasim wal-Anwa'. At-Taqasim wal-Anwa'. That was the original title for Ibn Hibban, for his book. Ibn Hibban, Taqasim means Anwa'. Taqasim means different categories and different types. That's just what it means. He called it At-Taqasim wal-Anwa'. Ibn Hibban was originally Busti. He was Busti. And originally Ibn Hibban originated from an area of what we know currently today in Afghanistan. Yes. He was from that region. Afghanistan. Also a Harawi. Imam al-Harawi was also from that area in Afghanistan. You'll be surprised at what scholars came from what areas in certain lands. You'll be blown away where they came from. For example, Imam al-Bukhari. Bukhara and Bukhara is close to a region in which we know today of where, everyone? Uzbekistan. I think it's Uzbekistan if I'm not mistaken. No, Uzbekistan is not Iraq. It's close to China. All the stands. What do you call it? Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, all the stands are all close to where, everyone? They're close to China. Bukhara is close to China. If you used to go, then some of the ulama of the past and look to the regions where they're from, it'll blow your mind. Tirmidh, and like we said, Ibn Hibban. Ibn Hibban is from an area in Afghanistan. Ibn Hibban, al-Busti. He's originally from an area of Afghanistan. Also al-Harawi. I'll talk about that later. Harawi made called Manazil al-Sa'idin, where Ibn Qayyim came back and came behind him and wrote what they call Madarij al-Salikin. I'll talk about that later. But at any rate, Ibn Hibban, everyone, was from, Ibn Hibban al-Busti was from what? A region in Afghanistan of today. طيب. At any rate, notice the hadith Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. What's Abu Musa al-Ash'ari's real name? Abdullah ibn Qais, ibn Salim, ibn Haddar. His real name was Abdullah ibn Qais, ibn Salim, ibn Haddar. Ibn Haddar. And we know that Abu Musa al-Ash'ari was originally from where, everyone? From Yemen. Al-Ash'ariyun, all of them originated from Yemen. Al-Ash'ariyun. They came from Yemen. Now, the original tribe of Al-Ash'ari was from Yemen. Even Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, you'll find that his family, of his lineage, goes back to Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. A lot of people don't know that. Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, rahimahullah, died after, like we said, after he made tawbah from this madhab al-Ash'a'ira. طيب. He was the originator of the Ash'a'ira, but he made tawbah from it. At any rate, for that, his name of Abu Musa al-Ash'ari was Abdullah ibn Qais. That was his real name. Abdullah ibn Qais. That he said that the Messenger of Allah mentioned and said, 3 people will not enter paradise. ثلاثة لا يدخلون الجنة مدمن خمر وقاطع رحم. The one who's addicted to intoxicants, and the one who cuts off the ties of his family, and the one who believes in magic. We'll talk about that later. It's been narrated in Imam Ahmad ibn Hibban in the Sahih. This we'll talk about later, inshaAllah. Alhamdulillah, even Sheikh Salih Fawzan mentions the exact same thing. Alhamdulillah. He said, Abdullah ibn Qais al-Ash'ari nisbatan ila jama'atin fil Yemen. Fil Yemen. Ash'ariyun originated from where? From Yemen. And the tribes of the Yemen, but they broke off, especially if you go back to the history of Saba. Of the tribes of Saba, when they broke off, after the destruction had came to their dam, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called it to be what? Destroyed. And then they all broke up, the different tribes. Some of them went to Sham, some of them went from Yemen, some of them remained there. And that's how you had the tribes of the Arab where they broke up. In front of them is who? The Ash'ariyun. And that was one of the tribes that remained back, which is in part of Yemen. And some of them went to Sham. And I'll talk about that later, the different tribes. Anyone, we'll stop here, inshallah. Any questions about the lesson? Fadda Hassan.
What was it? So,
What's up, Ahmed? You alright? Tafadda. Think.
So, regarding to the stars and everything, what would you say about like that? What they say about the atmosphere?
No, the atmosphere has nothing to do with magic. Oh, it has nothing to do with, if you want to say, for events that take place on the earth. Atmosphere has nothing to do with that.
Oh, now
Hold on.
So,
Hold up, Ahmed.
I'm going to talk about the Dajjal again.
Ha ha. I'll talk about the Dajjal later. The Dajjal, just know for sure, all the chaos that we're facing right now, and all the turmoil that you see taking place all around you, is all setting the stage for the Dajjal's, for his emergence. Everything. Everything you see it all coming together, even on the news. Everything is setting the stage for Dajjal to be released. And he will be released somewhere, they say, in the area in Isfahan, which is somewhere in the region around Iran, in that area. He will come from that somewhere in that region. The Dajjal will be released, and he will come from somewhere in there, around that area. Nobody knows exactly how, but somewhere there, when he's released, and those are the people that's going to follow him, is from Ahl al-Bid'ah, and the Jews, especially from the Jews of Isfahan, and also women, also that will follow the Dajjal, especially from Medina, where certain people, when he will come, and he won't be able to enter, but certain people will what? Some of the women will come out, and you'll find that they'll say in certain narrations that certain men will be tying their women down. They'll be tying them down, so he won't answer his call, so that they won't get affected. They'll be tying them down, because he will want them to come out, because he can't get in. You understand? And some of them will answer his call, and they will go out to him, and they'll be from his followers. So, but in any rate, majority of the people who will follow the Dajjal, at the head of them is Ahl al-Bid'ah, especially from the Khawarij. The Khawarij will be following them, from the Khawarij. And especially who's deserving of following him, who's the Rawafid and the Shia. They are the most deserving of following the Dajjal. They are the most hypocritical, most filthiest of people. It's the Rawafid and the Shia, it's the Khawarij, and also the Yahud. Especially from the Yahud of Isfahan, which is located now in Iran. For Isfahan. Isfahan, is, I'm not mistaken, is located somewhere in Iran. If I'm not mistaken. Somebody check for me. Isfahan. Isfahan. It's somewhere in Iran. It's in Iran? Jade. Isfahan is in Iran, right? Isfahan. Oh, that's how they say it? What was you saying? I'm sorry, Fahd. Absolutely. They're preparing. They're preparing for his arrival. Absolutely. It's all the stage of all the chaos that's happening in this world right now. It's all just setting the stage for his release. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. طيب. Anything, is that enough for talking about the Dajjal for today?
One more question.
One more question. That's it, Hassan.
So is it how you say it? Masad Fatah 10? How you say it? What that means?
Mas'ud.
Masud Fatah 10?
Mas'ud.
Okay.
What's that for?
I was gonna say, you said something meant something. I was trying to write it down so I can remember.
What's that?
Masud Fatah 10.
What was it pertaining to, though? Oh, Musadafa 10. Thank you. You had to tell me what was that. Musadafa 10 in Arabic just means coincidence. It means coincidence. And if we even say it, Sadafani Ahmed. Sadafani fi tariq. They just by chance he happened to see me in the road, as they say. Sadafani or hasala sudfa, happened by chance. Huh? Tanzihun. Tanzih. Ta, noon, zai, za, ya, ha. Tanzih. Ha. Tanzih just means what people know is detested, hated. It's not liked. What's up, Ahmed? Hurera means like a little small kitten. Comes from the word hir. Hir means hir is like a cat. And if you put the tasghir on it, means you put hurera, which is just a smaller cat of another cat, which is a little small kitten. Hurera. Tafadhal. Uh-huh. No, Qarni is not from the tribes of Yemen. Not Qarni. Even though Uwais al-Qarni he lived there, but I don't think he was from the original tribes of Yemen, unless he was from one of the smaller tribes of the major tribes of Yemen. That has to be checked. That might have been the case. The Qarni might have been from one of the major tribes that you have Ash'ariyun. That was from the major big tribes. they also had small tribes that branched off from them under those big tribes. That could have been one of them. I have to check though. Maybe from Yemen? From the Arab? From what I come from, I don't know. I think they would be. Like I said, I had to check the tribes of the major tribes in Yemen. Matter of fact, go back to the tafsir of all on the border. You mean like where Sa'da is, or something like that, or Jizan, or something like that, or that border? Because Yemen, they're at the border, right? The border is Jizan, it's right there. It's right the southern border. Yeah, Sa'da. Rather you'll find, you remember for Sheikh Muqbil was Allah, rahimahullah, he was on Sa'da. He was in Damaj. Do you know that Jizan was like right over the mountains, right there? Where Sheikh Ahmed Najmi was like, the mountains were right there. It was right behind it. They're like right, they was close to each other. Now as far as, like I said, whether or not the tribes have not, I have to check. Let's see whether or not they could have been one of those smaller tribes of the major tribes that broke off. I have to check. Allah. That could. Go back to the ayah in Surah As-Saba. لقد كان لسبأ في مسكنهم آية جنتان عن يمين وشمال كلوا من رزق ربكم واشكروا له بلدة طيبة ورب غفور. That ayah. Surah As-Saba. Surah As-Saba. Go back to the ayah. You'll find in the tafsir Ibn Kathir breaks down the tribes. He breaks them down. Of where all the Arab, the major Arab tribes, what happened when the time before the actual disaster of Saba, how some of them remained and some of them went to Sham, and how they separated. And then, of course, you know all the tribes of the Arab broke down from those major tribes. And let me get the ayah for you guys, though, because I don't know the number off the top of my head. لقد كان لسبأ في مسكنهم آية. Ayah number 15, Surah As-Saba. It breaks down all the major tribes of the Arab in that ayah. Then from those major tribes was other tribes, smaller tribes. They break down. But those are the major ones of the Arab. The major ones. It talks about Juhayna, Quraysh. It breaks it all down. How some of them migrated to Hijaz, to Medina, Mecca. Some of them went to Sham. Some of them remained in Yemen. That's how you have all the different tribes of the Arab. The original tribes of the Arab. Sham is, of course, we know Palestine, Syria, Jordan. Then you have in Hijaz, which is in Mecca, Medina. Then some of them remain behind in Yemen. And that's how they branched off. And then it breaks down to certain tribes. Any other questions? Ahmed, what was you going to ask? All right, what was it? Anyone? Tfadal. No, the last one he asked me, I think that's too many. I don't know. It could have been later on from some of the ulama that came later, but he originally called it what we just said, At-Taqasim wal-Anwa'. That's what he called it. I don't know who called it Sahih ibn Hibban though. Yeah. Now we're going to get into conditions of Sahih ibn Hibban. Ooh. You know who discussed that real good too? He has a book on it. Is Sheikh Al-Albani. He has a book giving fawaid of all the different books, even including, he spoke about that. Even though he mentioned it, but that wasn't what he fulfilled though. But he didn't fulfill it. Even his conditions, some of his conditions wasn't fulfilled as far as to make everything sahih. Not only the ruwat, but even just the narrations in itself that was brought in the book. Not all of them were sahih. He was. But that was when he was more lenient in his tawthiq, as far as his kitab called Thiqat. His book called Thiqat by Ibn Hibban. That's when he was lenient on the ruwat, his tawthiq. But that's on that specific book. But he does have a book. Ibn Hibban has a book called Majruheen, where he's very shadid in his tajreeh. It's Kitaab al-Majruheen. What I had the actual honor of doing, that I actually went into library of, you know, I went to library, it's in Medina to this day. And then I don't know if they still have it open for everybody. I went in Sheikh al-Albani's library, that his books that he actually used to do research, his own books. Because if you look online, Sheikh al-Albani donated half his library to Medina. They're there. His books, his library is there. Half of it. I think half of it. I think half of a part of it is somewhere else. I don't know if he gave it to his kids or his family or something like that. But if you notice in his wasi or his testimony that he left, that majority or half of his library goes to Medina, goes to university. So when I was there, it was open. So one day, at lunchtime, right before lunchtime, so I'm going to Sheikh al-Albani's library, I want to look in it. His actual books with his actual notes inside of it. So I was reading in his actual books with his notes inside of the books. Sheikh al-Albani's actual books. I'm like actually touching the book that he actually did research out of. Those books. I don't know if Medina has it available still. I think they probably do it, but certain people told me they're heavily guarded because people tried to steal his stuff. They tried to steal his books out of his library. Students. I have no idea. I'll make better care of his books. Stuff of the law. At any rate, so now I heard that they do it, that they watch you now, so nobody tries to steal his stuff. But anyway, I walked in there, and one of the books that I picked up was Majruheen by Ibn Hibban. And it's this jarh in that book. Sheikh al-Albani had notes on the inside of the book called Majruheen by Ibn Hibban. What's so strange is Ibn Hibban had tasahul in his tawthiq, in a book called Kitaab al-Thiqat, and he had a heavy jarh in his book called Kitaab al-Majruheen. That's what's strange though, right? But as far as the Sahih ibn Hibban, he did have a little bit of tasahul in regards to what's considered Sahih, somewhat. That could be. That's something that will have to be checked though, just to make sure. Yeah, that's good. These are good questions. I like this. I like these questions. And I can't wait. If I had the time to teach them a hadith, oof. At any rate, Kitab At-Tawheed is more important. At any rate, this is the origin, this is the foundation. But at any rate, if I had one day, alhamdulillah, we just started Ibn Majah, Kitab Ibn Majah, Kitab al-Sunnah. Started that in Washington. But inshallah, one day we'll start to go through some narrations in regards to hadith and teaching. Anything else? Ahmed? I'll ask later, inshallah. I'd say ask later. Last thing, that's it. No more, no less. Because we got to go. We didn't finish. All right, Hassan. Everything we might need something to eat, just like we all do probably. طيب وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.